Good evening, everyone. My name is Syed Ali, and I am here along with my other group members to record the presentation for the assessment 2 of the leading and managing fundamentals. Actually, it is a case study regarding the organizational management situation and Qantas Airways. I will take a moment to introduce myself and my other group members. Myself, Sayed Ali Naki, and my student ID is 64364. Along with me, my other group members are Nadia and Supriya. So after me, Nadia and Supriya will talk about their respective slides. So in this slide, I will give you a little bit of background, what happens in the year of 2022 to 2023 when Alan Joyce was the CEO of the Qantas Airways. So our research work largely discusses about the leadership failures of the Alan Joyce when he was the CEO at Qantas. So we have used threat-based and behavior theories and situational theory of leadership to explain all the scenario. So the crisis included was the unethical choices made, the conflict between the staff and the diminishing customers' loyalty. And these concerns were the major reputational and the trust killers for Qantas. So our plan of management measures the failure of the leadership, and we will offer some remedial measures. So let us talk further about the leadership crisis which was unfolded at Qantas at that time. After the COVID-19 recovery, Qantas was challenged in terms of operations and ethics because there were no international flights going in and out of Australia. So Qantas was facing a huge shortage in the revenues. The unlawful dismissal of ground personnel worsened the labor unrest and regulatory oversight. So almost 1,700 employees were terminated overnight. So it created a panic and huge unrest among the employees at Qantas. So reselling flight tickets to cancel flights damaged the brand credibility and customer trust. So the Qantas staff were also involved in the reselling unethical practice of the reselling of the cancelled flights, which damaged the Qantas reputation. And decision made by the leadership increased reputational losses and instability in the organization. So there was some like rash decisions taken by the Qantas leadership at that time, and that further deteriorated the organizational standoff. So in this slide, I will talk about the key leadership issues, and that has been identified by me and my team members. The autocratic style was used in the process of making decisions without involving the stakeholders. So Alan Joyce demonstrated autocratic style of leadership and made decision without consultation of the employees, unions, and customers. The absence of the transparency generated suspicion between the employees and the unions. So there was no accountability of the any decision making and policy makers. The corporate governance and trust among the people were compromised by the act of unethical conduct. So because of these shenanigans at the management level, the trust was spoiled among the public. The inflexibility of the leadership did not allow responding and recovering effectively. So there were no media talks, no audit reports, and no such things, and that overall was detrimental to the reputation of Qantas. So let us talk about the characteristics of the autocratic leadership failures. There were low involvement of the employees or the unions in decision making. As explained before, there were almost no involvement of the employees or the other necessary stakeholders in decision making. Autocratic management did not recognize participative problem solving style. So this is the second issue because of the autocratic leadership, and the employees' morale was reduced because of the non-participation. So because of the no participation from the stakeholders, there was the reduction in the morale of the employees. Theories of behavioral leadership do not encourage over control in the time of crisis. lack of necessary leadership characteristics. So this is the second highlighted problem because of the autocratic style of the leadership. There was a lack of integrity and ethical responsibility among the decision makers. There was a lack of sociability and relationship between the stakeholders because of the autocratic style of the leadership. There were no coordination between different stakeholders involved in quantitative ways. Ineffective communication undermined the inter-organizational trust because of the lack of the communication. There were the trust deficit among the employees and the different stakeholders. Trade theory emphasizes integrity as one of the leadership demands. So to work as a leader, so integrity is one of the key characteristics of that leader.
This slide highlights how a lack of emotional intelligence negatively affected the organization. Leaders were not sufficiently aware of or empathetic toward employees' needs, which created feeling of neglect and dissatisfaction among staff. According to the Dankart et al. 2022, this lack of empathy weakened trust between management and employees. Additionally, customer dissatisfaction was not properly recognized or addressed, which further damaged relationships with stakeholders. Poor social and communication skills made both internal teamwork and external customer interactions more difficult. As a result, conflicts increased within the organization, and these issues began to affect the company's public image. Overall, low emotional intelligence among leaders contributed to reputational damage and ongoing organizational conflict. These slides highlight situational leadership misalignment. The style of leadership failed to adjust to the post-pandemic recovery situations. The situation of the crisis demanded participative and supportive leadership methods, and the another one is task-oriented control contradicted the restoration of trust and morale. Situation leadership focuses on flexibility in line with the needs of the organization. Vahagian and Anand 2020. And the another slide is internal and external challenges. This slide explains the internal and external challenges faced by the organization. Internally, employee morale was negatively impacted due to the layoffs and frequent disagreements. As noted by Bahagia and Anand 2021, these issues led to stress, uncertainty, and reduced motivation among staff. A top-down leadership approach also contributed to a toxic organizational culture where employees felt excluded from decision making. This further weakened trust and collaboration within the organization. Externally, the company faced reputational pressure due to regulatory investigations and increased media criticism. Customer confidence declined as competitors gained advantage, making recovery even more challenging. Together, these internal and external pressures significantly affected the organization's stability and performance. Strategy 1: Democratic Leadership Transition. This strategy focuses on transitioning from an autocratic leadership style to a democratic leadership approach. Currently, decision making is centralized, which can limit employee engagement and innovation. By adopting a democratic leadership style, leaders actively involve stakeholders and team members in decision making, which helps employees feel valued and heard. This approach also improves transparency and accountability as decisions are discussed openly rather than imposed from the top. According to S. and Ethel, a 2023 democratic leadership builds trust, encourages innovation, and increases employee engagement, all of which are critical for long-term organizational success. Overall, these strategies helps create a more collaborative culture and improves team morale and performance. Strategy 2: Emotional Intelligence Development. This second strategy focuses on developing emotional intelligence within leadership. This involves implementing organization-wide emotional intelligence training programs as suggested by S. and Ethel 2023. The training emphasizes empathy, self-regulation, and strong interpersonal skills, which are essential for effective leadership. Leaders would also complete assessments to identify emotional intelligence gaps, allowing targeted development. Emotional intelligence is particularly important during times of change or crisis as it helps leaders manage stress, resolve conflict, and support their teams more effectively. By strengthening emotional intelligence, leaders can create a more supportive, resilient, and productive workplace.
Hi, myself Supriya. I am explaining about the Embrace Situational Leadership Framework. The Situational Leadership module provides by the Hesley Blanch will help to leaders to change their leadership modules according to the maturity of organizational circumstances. The leader's art of the coaching and supporting behavior is undertaking recovery period where the capability build is needed. The more the organization competence is, the more the leadership might shift the empowering delegation styles in terms of there may be the enabling the relevant leaderships according to the reaction on the different operation circumstances, which relevant the leadership reactions in different operation circumstances, which are the principles of evaluating never-ending monitoring on the organizational environment. Next, I'm going to explain about the trait based on the leadership selection. It is an establishment on the new roles of the formulated based on the key characteristics defined by the leadership study and like the intelligence, self-confidence, determination and integrity and the social ability. Qantas ought to establish and evaluating the mechanisms by using the psychometric test by carrying out behavior and interviewing and reference checks based on the qualities. The integrity must also not be compromised because there has been the recent case on the moral lapse. The sociability tests are supported to measure the ability of the candidates to establish their relationships with the various stockholders. Here comes the implementation plans. Based on the immediate actions, conducting the comprehensive leadership audit, evaluating current executes against the trade-based criteria on EI and competence. The responsibilities are on the board of the directors HR departments. The timeline is 1 month, and the resources are external leaderships consultants and the psychometric associated tools. And the next action is establishing of an employee consultants forms with the union responsibilities and the staff delegates. Responsibilities are the new CEOs and HR directions, and the timeline is 2 months. Resources are meeting infrastructure, facilities, and experts. Actions must take is the launching transparency and organization challenges and improvement commitments. The responsibility is the communication departments is a more challenging phase, and the resources are internal and external communication platforms. And the fundamental development is from months to 4 to 9 as the implementation executive EI development program, including the worksheets and coachings and 360-degree feedback. The responsibility is chief people officers. The timeline is 4 to 9 months. The resources are EI training providers and executive coaches. The actions must take is redesigning decision-making processes, incorporating democratic principles and the stockholder inputs. The responsibilities must take is executive leadership team. The timeline is 5 to 8 months. Hence, coming to the phase three, it's a cultural transformation and amid the leadership competency in the module based on the integrity, empathy, and the collaborative decision making. Responsibilities are mostly on the HR department, and timeline is months from 10 to 12 months. And the resources are competency framework consultancies. Action must take is the implementation stockholders feedback mechanism, including the customer advertisement panels and the employee engagement service. The responsibilities must take is an experienced team and the HR analytics. And the timeline must be 12 to 15 months. The resources must be used is the survey platforms and the panel coordination resources. And the resources are persified and the performance management systems on the upgraded. Hence coming to the evaluation and monitoring. This is the main phase, and the key performance indicators are the leadership effectiveness metrics. Employee 360 degrees feedback scores are executive. Targets must be 15% improvement per annum. Employees engagement level. The goal must be above 70% favorable. and the outcome of the leadership EI assessment. Organization health indicators are the turnover rate of the employee, customer satisfaction is up to, and the frequency is union disruptions and the complaints accidents involving in the regulation. Hence, coming to the cultural transformation measures are the rate of the participant in the stockholder consultations and including of the decision making indicates and ethical behavior reporting and the situation management. This is the monitor mechanism and the KF is based on the performance which is associated with regarding the periodical leadership reviews and the finding with the reported board and the performance of the leaders providing the real-time feedback and the form of monthly stockholders forms. The extension of the transformation is accessible independently audit and the culture of the annual basis. The fifth principle is evaluating the principles of consulting and conducting testing enables the responsible challenges on the strategies of referring the new data reaction the stockholders. This is the conclusion and the key impacts on the autocredit and the leadership, emotional intelligence and the defeat displayed on the Qantas crisis leadership. The democratic leadership styles, accurations of EI competence and the so-called 6 ES modules will allow the organization to recover the lost trust on the stockholders and achieve the long-term success. The recent 18 months transformation plan revolves around the leadership excellence as well as likely to increase the employment engagement. The more the loyal to the customer development, the new data derives and the driven organization relies to the prosperity in the long term. These are the references we used in our project. Thank you.